Well, howdy, howdy, power partners. This is our power hour. It's Cynthia Bryan on Starstyle, Be the Star You Are, coming to you on Voice America Media and under the auspices of Be the Star You Are charity. We are happy and very privileged that you are joining us today. So thank you very much for that. In today's show, we're going to talk about something that a lot of people are talking about, and that is the job loss surrounding artificial intelligence or the potential of it. Because if you're afraid of losing your job, work is changing and AI is going to take over some of our areas of work, probably exactly what I'm doing. Tasks are going to be redistributed. But change doesn't always necessarily mean that our jobs are going to disappear. We just hope that they'll evolve. We will dive into that, and then in segment two, it's about walking. Walking is like the easiest, cheapest way to get exercise. But from what I've been, reading and talking to experts about, is that there are best practices when it actually comes to your walk. And I never really thought about that before. It's your pace, your stride, your shoes, your posture. All of these things are critical. So, do you know how to get the most out of your moves? You will after this show. The miracle moment for today is brought to you by Be the Star You Are charity. Please visit us, bethestarur.org. This is from Carl Frederick. The key to your universe is that you can choose. All right, well, we'll get right into it because artificial intelligence and the future of work, it really is reshaping the workforce. Now, I don't want you to start thinking it's going to eliminate it, although so many people are asking, is my job going to disappear? And it's a really good question. And so many people across the world are asking that exact same question because AI has expanded from headlines to actually workplace conversations, and lots of people have already lost their jobs. So, what we need to know is that artificial intelligence is already embedded in just about everyday work. And in April, there was a Gallup poll that found that 18% of all US employees believe it's at least somewhat likely that their jobs are going to be eliminated within the next 5 years because of automation. And according to Pew Research Center, 52% of workers think that AI is going to reshape their jobs, and they're worried about that impact in the future for their job. And there's 32% that believe that AI is going to lead to fewer possibilities. And, as a writer and a radio personality and an actor, um, I am concerned about it in our professions because we see it already how AI is taking over and how things are being done. And even though there's like all these, the Screen Actors Guild is doing all kinds of things around it, the Authors Guild is working on stuff. It doesn't it doesn't it's not going to stop the future, so we just have to learn to work with it. Now, economists are disagreeing on how AI is going to impact labor markets, though early research from Stanford University found a decrease in employment concentrating among the 22 to 25-year-olds that are in AI exposed jobs such as software development, customer service, and clerical work. So those are kinds of things, those are other jobs, and it's not just the creative arts that it's going to happen to. And there's emerging evidence suggesting that AI is substituting for some critical thinking rather than extending it. And you might have heard of like Chat GPT doing therapist kind of work, which it's not really supposed to be doing, but some AI is taking the place of that. These are all concerns that people are having. And much of the debate around AI's labor impacts how the focus is on technology itself and how quickly it's advancing and it's adopted, whether previous technologies, it's going to be able to occupy any new roles that it creates. But the future of work also depends on what AI does to us and whether it is eroding the cognitive capabilities on which the value of our work has historically depended. I over the weekend I went to the theater with my family to see the new Toy Story 5 movie. And it was a very pleasant experience, sitting on these lovely lounge chairs. I mean, it's you push a button and it's really lounging and you can have food and drink and it's not crowded, it's quieter. And the Toy Story was it was really interesting to me. And it wasn't focused on AI, but it definitely was focused on tablets and screens and the ubiquitousness of it and how tablets and screens, all the things that not only kids are doing, but adults are watching. I mean, kids are watching their adult parents on their screens all the time, and how toys are being eliminated because so many people are on screens. I think it's kind of like that with artificial intelligence. So, what is the role of AI in the workplace? That's what you might be asking. So, repetitive structured tasks are going to be the first that are augmented by AI. Like already, we can draft an email, we can get a contract written, we can ask it to make a list of interview questions, we can process forms, we can have AI like summarize our notes, or we can even have it write some simple reports. I mean, as a writer, if I wanted to just ask AI to write a garden article, since I'm a garden writer for me, I could do that. But the interesting thing is, it's not always correct. We did an interesting seminar with our garden communicators where we asked AI to put together a kind of a summation of who we were as garden coaches and garden designers and garden writers and make a summary. Well, it was pretty funny. When I read mine back, it had absolutely nothing to do with me. And it just reminds me of how AI is targeting me every day as a writer and book author. I am getting all these AI generated emails that are definitely spam and probably scams of, I don't know if they're chat bots or who they are or what they are, but they come to me telling me that my book, and they do a description of one of the books. It could be one of the Stella Bella's Barnyard Adventures, or it might be The Star You Are, or it might be Chicken Soup for the Gardener's Soul. It might be, you know, um, gardening with the goddess gardener. It doesn't matter. They'll put the name in it. They'll have a description of it, and flatter me with how wonderful my book is. And they want it either for a book club or they want to make a movie out of it. Or, I mean, the list goes on. And they're all scams. And I keep forwarding them to the Authors Guild because we as writers are getting these. But it's so interesting how these letters are completely targeted towards me and the books that I've written. The first one you get, you think, oh, this is so great. Or they tell you you've won some incredible book award that you've never heard of. But anyway, that's part of what AI is doing. And these activities, they can follow some rules and they have predictable outcomes. Like in my case, with those emails I get, they go into the spam folder and they get blocked. But again, they resurface again. Now, in some cases, such as form completion or document sorting, technology can complete the work, end to end. But again, no matter what, you have to double check it. A job is made up of more than one task, though, as we know, and so many responsibilities do require complex judgment, awareness of context, and creative adaptability. Think about building a house. I'm not so sure that AI is going to do the construction. They might be able to augment the plans or even maybe design the rooms according to specifications. But in unless it's going to be a prefab where, the machinery has all been made, a house is still going to need to be built by craftsmen and construction workers. It's physical labor, and there's equipment that needs to be handled. And of course, then there's always environmental concerns, and review boards and all of this. So AI can support project management and workflows, and it can do the assembly of compliance documentation. It can probably help with permitting or definitely with the inventory tracking, but it can't replace construction itself. That's just one example. So it doesn't matter what the sector is. AI rarely can eliminate the entire job. Instead, it's going to clarify where human judgment, coordination, and situational awareness is going to be essential. And it's going to be a gradual change. Every major technological breakthrough has sparked fears of job loss. I mean, think about it. Historically, labor markets adjust more slowly than technology advances. If we think about the pattern, I mean, there was the steam engine, there was electricity, there was the telephone, the internet. All of those are just example. And each time they displaced certain roles with other creating new industries and lifting productivity. And AI is going to follow a similar path. For people who used to listen to the radio, I mean, think about grandparents who sat around the radio listening to it in the 1930s and 1940s. And then all of a sudden, this black and white television came out in the 50s. And people were saying, oh my gosh, it's going to destroy radio. Well, it just augmented it. So, today there's radio and there's television, and now there's podcasts everywhere. Is the newspaper going to go away? Maybe, I don't know, but there is definitely online. There are all kinds of news online. So perhaps AI is going to provide an opportunity because as AI reduces the time spent on just routine tasks, demand increasingly favors ordered skills. And these are harder to replicate, like analytical judgment, emotional intelligence, interpersonal communications, um, and also just really having empathy. Workers who use AI effectively will be able to shift their focus towards higher value contributions. They can improve productivity and they can strengthen their long term value to employers. Now, I see just like when I'm putting together my radio show or writing an article for a magazine or newspaper, as I'm typing, sometimes I am getting like this red line underneath the word. And if I click on it, it will tell me that either maybe I've spelled something wrong or suggests a different word or suggests a different grammatical sentence. So, and those kind of tools can be useful. You don't want to overuse them, but I find it useful kind of as a like a an AI editor, I suppose. So what's the bottom line? What do we need to know? AI is going to change the workplace. There's no doubt about it. It's going to change how work is organized, how tasks are distributed, and how value is created. But change does not mean disappearance. Jobs are more likely to evolve than to vanish. So we need to embrace it, but with caution. And businesses that integrate AI thoughtfully will be able to enhance productivity and competitiveness. And workers who build adaptable, human centered skills are always going to be in a good position. And over time, AI has the potential to support economic growth and definitely earnings, but it doesn't replace work outright, but it is going to reshape how work gets done. And yes, is there fear that AI or could become like HAL in 2001: A Space Odyssey? Yes, I think that is a possibility. And I'm hoping that the people who are developing this are putting in the safeguards, and that we as consumers need to be very, very well informed about how it is developing and be very cautious about it. So instead of being scared, be on top of it. And then we do have to evolve with the times. You're listening to Cynthia Bryan. This is Star Style, Be the Star You Are. We're coming to you on Voice America Media. I am very honored that you are with me, and I hope that you'll stay with me through the business bite. And then we're going to just talk about a few ways that we can get our walking a little bit better so that we'll be healthier. Don't go away. The constant demands of business life can make anyone feel overwhelmed and frustrated. Do you feel like you're confused sometimes? Are you feeling stuck? If so, try a few of these following tips. Take a break by doing something spontaneous and fun that will re energize your brain and your body. And you might want to try meditation, exercise, a massage, or my favorite, a trip to the beach. Pat yourself on the back. Congratulate yourself for going out on those limbs and taking chances. Let go. If something isn't working and you've tried everything to get on track, it's time to surrender. It's time to let it go and move on. Surrendering does not mean defeat. Ask for help with brainstorming. Many minds make creative outcomes, and nothing is too wild when you're looking for a solution. And finally, go into action. Once you've followed the other steps, get back in the game because change is another word for learning and growth. And although it could be painful, it is usually a step in the right direction. Remember, you're the star of your own performance. Turn your passions into profits. I'm Cynthia Bryan with another business bite from Starstyle. For more information, visit cynthiabryan.com. That's Brian with an I.com. Well, we are back, and I am privileged that you are with me here on this independent media station, Voice America Media, and this is Star Style, Be the Star You Are. I am Cynthia Bryan. Walking. I always think about walking as being, the easiest, least expensive exercise that we possibly can have. I mean, it seems really straightforward, right? You just walk, you stand up, you put one foot in front of the other, and you just keep going wherever it is, whether you have a destination in mind or you're just, walking around the block or walking in your garden. Everybody, once you learn to walk, knows how to walk. However, what I've been learning lately is that it's your pace, your posture, your stride, and even the shoes on your feet that shape how much you actually get out of it. Because people just take walking for granted and they don't recognize the inherent power in doing it correctly. I've always been that kind of person. I mean, I actually don't really like wearing tennis shoes or sneakers. I'm more of a flip-flop girl or a barefoot girl, but and I wear boots in the garden. So that's kind of the shoes that I feel best in. But I found out the other day when I was going up the stairs to feed my barnyard animals, and I saw that a pipe was leaking, and I was just wearing flip-flops, and I stepped off, off the stairs and into the garden. I stepped right onto something sharp, cut open my foot. That kind of has hindered my walking for a while. But what I really realized is that whatever it is you're doing, you do need to wear the right footwear. For me in the garden, it's always going to be boots. But walking is important that you are wearing shoes that are walkable, that fit you correctly, that are comfortable, and that you can get to the walking speed that you really need to. Now, walking speed has been called the sixth vital sign, and I hadn't known that before, but it is a metric that clinicians hold in high regard because they think it's just as important as your heart rate, your breathing rate, your oxygenation, and your body temperature. So, what the research shows is that the slower gait speed is associated with actually an increased risk of developing dementia, sometimes years before the diagnosis. And we'll go into that in a little bit. The footwear that I was talking about is really a blind spot. It's always been a blind spot for me because, as I said, I'm a barefoot girl. But again, the experts have found that more than 60% of adults wear shoes that are the wrong size or the wrong shape or just the wrong shoes. I include myself in that. Often because a lot of people just assume that our feet stop changing or growing when we stop growing taller, but that is a misconception. So, walking correctly helps ensure that we can enjoy this favorite form of exercise for as long as possible. What research is saying is that walking roughly 87 steps a day, I know it usually says 10, 10,000 to 12,000, but what the new statistics show, 8700, did I say 87,000? I didn't mean that. 8700 steps a day cuts the risk of dying from any cause by 60% compared with walking only 2000 steps a day. And so it's particularly good at guarding against heart disease. So if you're not tracking how many steps you're doing, you might not be getting enough steps in, and you want to get the benefits. So here are a few things that different experts have written and talked about, and they really want you to get the more out of your walks. Now, the first one was increasing your pace. So a leisurely stroll feels very relaxing, but it's actually a missed opportunity for health. To check your pace, you can count your steps for 15 seconds and then multiply by 4 to get the steps you're doing per minute. Now, most people walk around 100 steps a minute, but where the bigger health benefit comes is by getting to 120 to 130 steps a minute. And that is where the fat burning and cardiovascular gains occur. So speed it up. The second thing is watch your arms. When you walk with your hands clasped behind your back, usually you're strolling if you do that. And that's a super bad habit. You're not going to get the exercise you need. And worst off, you could lose your balance and you could fall. So it's if you have your hands behind your back, it's really difficult to fall safely. It also throws off your posture and it produces kind of a shuffling gait that makes tripping more likely. So, what you're supposed to do when you walk is to let your arms swing freely and your torso and lower body will follow. Now, one of the things that I have found is like some people want to carry weights when they walk, which is fine. But I get thirsty when I walk. So instead, I'll carry two water bottles and they have weight in them, and then I can stop and take a drink. So that's my little tip. Now, as far as replacing your shoes go, again, walking shoes are supposed to be good for around 300 to 400 miles. So maybe you don't ever walk that way. A lot of us, probably myself included, I have shoes that I've had for years. And of course, that can lead to foot, knee, and back problems. So to check for a clue that you're walking correctly in supportive shoes, flip your sneakers over and you should see a very healthy wear pattern, and it looks like the number 7. It angles from the outer heel toward the big toe. So check that out and see how you're doing. Now, talking about toes, we need to pay attention to our toes. The strength of our big toe is a descendant predictor of whether you'll fall as you age. Research has limited and has linked weaker big toe strength if you and the flexibility of that and your ability to press the toe firmly into the ground to poorer balance and a higher fall risk. I know I have broken my big toe 3 times, and it's still, I mean, it's healed, of course, but it's very painful when it happens. And I still feel like it's just not exactly right. But in any case, what you want to do is sit barefoot in a chair. Lift just your big toe while the other four stay flat on the floor, and then reverse it. Only the big toe down, little toes up. And a lot of people can't do that. But even practicing for a week, you will start to notice a difference. So let me just repeat that so you can do it. So, what you do is you sit in a chair and you put your big toe, you lift it and keep the other four on the floor. So that you're separating your toes basically. And then you reverse it. You put the big toe down and put your little toes up and keep practicing it. And then hopefully that you're going to change. And don't forget to do it on both feet. And then last tip I have for getting more out of your walk is to go up some hills. You know, it's a category of a lot of moves when you are walking. So maybe you're on a sidewalk at one speed, but then seek out some hills wherever you can. So maybe even go on a curb, practice walking with 1 foot up and 1 foot down. You know, so 1 foot on the curb, 1 foot down. And with the payoff isn't just cardiovascular, it's when you're on uneven terrain, but it is really helping your balance and helping your body awareness in ways that pavement just can't do. So try some of these walking things and see if they help you because walking is the least expensive of all the exercises. I suppose, running too, but basically with walking, you just need a pair of shoes and your body. With so many other things, we have a lot of expenses. I mean, you love to snow ski, you like to water ski, bungee jump, whatever it is, but all those things cost a lot of money, and it's usually a lot of equipment that you have to get or rent. So, walking will keep you healthy, but you do need to get in those steps. And just remember to try to hit that 8,700 steps a day. Swing your arms, use some heels, and you should be in pretty good shape. Well, that's the show for today. Thank you so much for being right here on Star Style. Be the star you are. I always have fun doing this show with you, and I want you to know you can change your life and make your dreams come true. For more information about Star Style Productions or to purchase any of my books, please visit Be the Star You. No, that's the charity. Well, you can visit BeTheStarYouAre.org because to get the books because the money goes to charity anyway. But if you want any information about me or Star Style, visit CynthiaBryan.com. And don't forget, if you go to starstyleradio.com, you can find out what shows are coming up. You can also see past shows and get links to all the different shows that we have done throughout the years. And again, the charity website is bethestaryouare.org. And of course, donations are always welcome because we are supported 100% by individuals. My aim is always to encourage, inspire, inform, amuse, and motivate. See beyond your physical being. Know that you already are the star you dreamed of becoming. Cherish the past, dream of the future, and celebrate every moment of your life. I hope that you'll also tune in to our teen show, Express Yourself Teen Radio, that airs on Sundays on Voice America Media. You can also find that at Star Style Radio. It's a wonderful show that is hosted by teens with teen reporters. It's for, by, and with teens. It is unedited, uncensored. So when you want to know what young people are thinking about, tune in to Express Yourself Teen Radio. It is surprising sometimes. And until next week, when we play here in the Star Style Playground, remember that love always wins, kindness always prevails, and smiles will keep us happy. My name is Cynthia Bryan for Star Style, thanking you and encouraging you to be kind, inclusive, tell the truth, live with integrity, embrace cultures, love unconditionally, encourage others, be generous, read, lead, succeed, communicate, collaborate, innovate. Be your unapologetically authentic self. In other words, be yourself. And remember that everyone counts. So go out into the world and be the star you are. I hope you're having a wonderful summer, and we'll be together next Wednesday. Thanks for joining me.